Denmark has become the third country to suspend weapons sales to Saudi Arabia. It's in response to the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi and Saudi's involvement in the war in Yemen, where thousands of civilians have been killed.
We expect that accountability is ensured, which means that those really responsible for this terrible murder have to be taken accountable.
Riyadh denies it had a hand in the killing and says those responsible will be punished.
We have made it very clear that this was an operation that went wrong, where people exceeded their authorities, did something they're not supposed to do. We have made it very clear that we're investigating, that those who committed this crime will be brought to justice.
The Danish Foreign Ministry says it hopes more European countries will also act. Norway and Germany have already halted arms sales to the oil-rich kingdom, and France is considering doing the same. According to research from IHS, Saudi Arabia has been expected to import $7.3 billion worth of military hardware this year. The kingdom's by far the world's biggest arms buyer. That would be a fourfold increase from the $1.9 billion it imported a decade ago. More than half those imports would come from the US. President Donald Trump says Washington will continue to support the Saudis.
Because it's America first to me. It's all about America first. We're not going to give up hundreds of billions of dollars in orders and let Russia, China, and everybody else have them. It's all about, for me, very simple. It's America first.
Trump says he also wants to keep oil cheap to prevent the US economy from weakening. Oil prices have fallen by a third since a peak of $80 a barrel in September, trading at around $62 on Thursday. And the US president says sanctions on the world's largest oil exporter would send fuel prices soaring. Reagan, Vignes, TRT World.
Well, for more on the story, joining us from London is Dominic Dudley, editor at Gulf States News. Good to have you back on the program. So we know that Denmark is a tiny player when it comes to arms exports to Saudi Arabia. The Danish Chamber of Commerce says overall exports were only worth around $1 billion last year. So a drop in the ocean compared to the overall trade it does with countries like the US, UK and even France. But do you think this might pile on the pressure on other countries to follow suit?
It makes it, well, it puts all these other countries on the spot to some extent. And if they want to continue selling arms, they'll have to sort of admit it publicly and say why they're prepared to keep doing that. And the main countries that are kind of relevant in this discussion are the UK, France, and to some extent Spain as well. They're the ones with the biggest contracts with Saudi Arabia. They're the ones who want to keep on selling arms to Saudi Arabia, and they're the ones who are going to have to justify that position.
And Denmark says that it decided to impose this ban after meeting with other foreign ministers in the European Union. We know that Germany was the first EU country to announce a ban on export sales going forward. Do you think we might see a more coordinated response from EU nations on this front?
It's possible. I mean, it's worth saying that Germany has gone back and forth a bit over the last year on arms sales, banning them, then resuming exports, and then starting to ban them again. I think it would like to lead an EU-wide initiative, and France has brought in some sanctions today and said that on 18 Saudi nationals, although it hasn't named who they are, but it says that travel ban, a visa ban, will apply across the Schengen area, so that's most of the EU. So there is some coordination. I think it's going to be hard, though, for Berlin to convince Paris and London particularly to halt arms sales. It's a big ask, and I don't think we're there yet. I don't think Berlin has got the ability to persuade them to do that just yet.
And we know the other day Donald Trump basically gave his unequivocal support behind Saudi Arabia. He's been quite upfront about saying that he values Saudi's investment in the US over any human rights concerns, certainly over this Khashoggi killing. Do you think Saudi Arabia sees that as a carte blanche, that so long as Saudi continues to enjoy US support, it doesn't really matter who else abandons them?
Well, yeah, I think it is something of a green light to the authorities in Riyadh. They know if they can keep Trump on side, then they've got a strong ally. And the way to keep him on side is to keep feeding his administration and his allies money, really. It's as simple as that. it's not just Saudi Arabia; it's other Gulf countries as well. We've seen in the last day that the UAE gave a life sentence to a UK researcher, Matthew Hedges, and there's a sort of a certain element of acting with impunity now among some of the Gulf leaders, and Trump is certainly allowing that and making it a lot easier for them to act in whatever way they see fit.
We also know that pressure is mounting among Donald Trump's Republican colleagues, as well as the broader US Congress, to impose tougher sanctions on Saudi Arabia in light of the Khashoggi killing. Do you think we might see a change in stance from the Trump administration as this pressure gets greater and develops over the coming months?
It's possible. I mean, one of the points of pressure that the US Congress can use is a thing called the Magnitsky Act, and that was actually passed under Barack Obama at a time when Obama didn't necessarily want that legislation to go through, but they were able to pull together an alliance of politicians and policy positions to the extent that the White House ended up having to support that act. Now, the same sort of thing could yet happen in relation to arms sales in Saudi Arabia. The outrage is certainly very strong in Washington, and it's something that U.S. senators and congressmen don't seem ready to let go anytime soon. So the Trump administration is going to have to keep on fighting if it wants to keep protecting Mohammed bin Salman.
OK, Dominic Dudley in London. We'll have to leave it there, but thank you again for joining us.